Yes, people, what's happening? Nice one for coming back to the Fuse UK. It's much appreciated as always. Special guest tonight on this bank holiday weekend. It's the new BKFC UK light heavyweight champion, Mr. Danny Christie. What's happening, bro?
Yes, Lou. How are you, mate? You all right?
I'm all good, mate. How are you?
Brilliant, mate. I'm good.
Feeling good?
Feeling good, mate. I'm still buzzing. I was expecting a bit of a crash.
Yeah.
You usually get a crash, don't you, when you've had a buzz like that? And it's maybe coming. It's maybe coming over the next couple of days, but I haven't really come down all week, mate. I'm still buzzing.
Yeah, I can imagine, mate. And we spoke on the morning of the fight at the hotel when we done that little podcast. But how were you feeling at the venue on the night in the changing rooms? Was it all the same energy all the way through to the ring?
It was. I felt deadly. I felt deadly that day. And that's part of having a camp like I had. We had a camp like we've never had before, and I went into that camp in shape. I was walking around on 2 camps back to back.
Yeah.
So I went into that camp with a real good base fitness, and we had about 7.5 weeks, and there's nothing we didn't do. We prepared for everything. The mental preparation was on point. I was physically never fitter. I was hitting a lot harder. I was heavier than I've ever been, but it was reflecting in my power in sparring and in the gym. And yeah, mate, we got the job done, and I was pleased.
And on the night, did you like the way the venue was set out with the seating over the ring?
I thought it was a wicked venue. I really enjoyed it. And I'm glad it warmed up a little bit, because when we went there for the ceremonial weigh-ins, it was really cold. Obviously, we would have been an ice rink.
Yeah.
It was very cold, but by the time we got a couple of thousand bodies in there, it warmed up, and I think the intensity of the fight itself just gets you warm anyway, doesn't it? And especially after the warm up. After the warm up, we done a prayer in the changing rooms, and I felt indestructible. And I knew. It's funny, like saying, I just knew it was my night, and for whatever reason, I thought I had the edge, being the underdog and being away from home and all that stuff. I just, and when I was speaking to people in private, I know I wasn't shouting about it on the internet, but when I was speaking to people in private, anyone round here will tell you, anybody all over where I've been sparring, that'll tell you, I told everybody I was going to knock him out. It wasn't a surprise to me. It wasn't like it happened, by accident. That was the game plan, to knock him out, and I was wholeheartedly had a belief in myself that was going to happen.
Class. And when you were about to come out for your fight, obviously the music stopped, and I remember looking up and thinking, mate, this is cold, this. It was like it was meant to happen, wasn't it?
Yeah. I intensified the main event. Very intense and very cold, an ice cold feeling walking to that ring. But it, for whatever reason, I don't know why, but it made it better. It was like, these things happen, just get on with it. We've got a job to do.
Yeah, and did you sort of expect the fight to go the way it did, with him nicking the early rounds, like points, and then you eventually getting the later knockout?
It was one of the ways we expected it to go. I mean, we thought there's a chance he could come out and try and step on the gas a bit in the first couple of rounds, which we were ready for. But, it went the way initially we thought it was going to go, with us having to chase him round a bit. It's very difficult to catch clean. And, he's a very accomplished fighter, and he's got an awful lot to offer, bare knuckle. And, nobody's ever came anywhere near to doing that to him.
No.
He said he had some problems with his fitness, and the chances are that he probably could have been a bit fitter, but only he knows himself. I don't for a minute think he come into that fight, 70, 80% of himself. He'll have prepared to the best of his ability for that fight. And if he thinks he can do more and thinks he can go back and do different things, you've got to remember how much of it's up here. If you think you're lacking in certain areas in fitness and that's going to reflect in the fight. So we knew we were getting to him by the end of that third round. We knew, it was a matter of time. Wayne gave us a bollock and said, look, stop thinking about what he's going to do. Forget about what he's going to do to you. He said, get in his face and knock him out. And when my coach tells us something like that, I want to go out there and prove to my coach that I can do what we've been training to do in the gym. Obviously I'm fighting for me first and foremost, but I'm part of a team. We all do this stuff together. And when my coach tells us I can do something and I can beat somebody and I can knock them out, I want to go out there and prove to him that I can do what he knows I can do.
Yeah, definitely, mate. And was it the third round when you started to sense Holmes was tiring?
Towards the end of the third, I sensed he was tiring. His movement just wasn't as quick. I mean, he's faster than me anyway. He's got better reaction time than me, but we could feel him slowing down. And that's when Wayne gives the bollocking, and he intensified it even more. I had a lot of gas in the tank. I knew the potential of it going 5 rounds was there. And I had loads of gas. I was the fittest I've ever been. I could have done 10 rounds at that pace that night. And we felt him tiring. We stepped on him. We caught him clean. And, that first knockdown was a belter. It was a proper connection. I had full feedback. I knew how much it had bounced off his chin. But he did get up. But I could tell just by the way he got up, it was over.
And how bad were the cuts affecting your vision? Was it bad?
Yeah, they were affecting me more than I've had before. I had a lot of cuts. Some people collect, I don't know, stamps, and some people collect football cards. I collect scar tissue. And I get it every time I fight. I'm a bleeder. I've got thin skin. It's like tissue paper. And on that, I just want to make a bit of a point here. I was watching the card last night, and I thought some of the cuts, they were stopped a little bit early on some of the cuts. Now, I'm not questioning the doctors at the BKFC, but the doctor at the BKFC was the same doctor that I had in Wembley when I was fighting Terry Brazier, and he let us continue. And yeah. I don't know if there's been a change in the level of severity that they will allow fights to go on to due to cuts. But it seemed to me like the cuts that were being stopped last night, I mean, Beck Rawlins, the cut was...
Yeah, I'm going to say that.
It was a cut, but it wasn't nothing like I've been cut,
Yeah.
And I think we signed contracts, and in my opinion, I would be devastated if I ever got stopped on a cut. Like, it's my face. I don't mind. You know what I mean? I insist you let me carry on, because if it was to be stopped on cuts, I wouldn't have won 2 of my fights. It's like, I need that blood in my eyes. I need that sense of desperation. It makes me fight better. And sometimes I don't even get started until I start bleeding. If I just wondered if there's been maybe a change in the level of severity with the cuts, because last night I thought, Alvarado, an ex-world champion who was good, was with that big rangy taekwondo lad, and I enjoyed watching that fight. The lad took him to pieces, mind, but there was a lot of blood. But when you looked at the cuts themselves, they weren't too bad. They certainly weren't as bad as cuts that I've endured. So, I hope it doesn't start going that way, because that's why I fell in love with the BKFC. They will allow you to continue if you're badly bleeding. And I need that in my fights. I need every available opportunity to close the show, because if they're going to stop it when I start bleeding, chances are I could be out of there before I even get warmed up.
Yeah, I think it might have something to do with it being such a big event last night, and all probably sanctioning bodies and that watching it. They might have thought we can't have it too brutal. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, perhaps, yeah.
That's the only thing I can think of. But after the first knockdown, Dan, in the fight, did you think the fight was over?
Yeah, it was playing through my mind that he wasn't going to get up, just with the connection. It was a brilliant punch. And sort of the way he went back, it like knocked him right off his feet. But listen, he's a tough man. We were both fighting for ourselves. There was a lot on the line in that fight. He wasn't just going to give up because he couldn't get back to his feet. He's a tough man. He is a warrior, and he could get back to his feet. So he continued, and I expected nothing less from him.
Yeah, he is, mate. He's a warrior. And obviously, you had family in that there watching you, supporting. How did it feel, mate, being on the journey that you've been on to lifting that belt and winning that fight, raising it to your loved ones? How did it feel?
Oh, mate, what a feeling. What a feeling. All the hard work felt like it paid off that night. The trophy was nice. The belt was nice, sorry. I mean, it's not a trophy. I mean, I don't want to talk about any other promotions or anything, but sometimes these belts, they're given out like trophies. They're not. I don't see them as actual titles. A lot of them, it's just like a trophy for having the fight. Well, I see that belt as a legitimate, UK champion title, not only because of the person that I took it off, but because of where I've been, and the level I was fighting at. I mean, Anthony Holmes was recognised as the most decorated bare knuckle fighter in the UK, and recognised by the promotion as the #1 light heavyweight. I know it was a bit of a catch weight, but we're both light heavyweights, and to lift the title and to finish him in that manner was a feeling like no other. And then that feeling continues. You get out the ring, and my eldest daughter was there. To be embracing my eldest daughter, and my girlfriend, and to be received the way I was off the crowd. It was a brilliant night, mate. It'll probably take some beating, as far as feelings go.
Would you say Anthony Holmes was your hardest fight to date?
I felt the Terry Brazier fight was a tougher fight, but Anthony's definitely the most skilled man I've been in with, hands down. But it's just because the Terry Brazier fight was that much more physical, with the clinch, and I took a lot more damage. I mean, the cut that Anthony gave us was bigger than those cuts, but I think I had about 5 or 6 cuts in the Terry Brazier fight, and I broke both my hands, and one of my teeth was wobbling, and I think Terry just put more punishment on me. But there was a lot more riding on that fight with Anthony, and Anthony's recognised as the best fighter that I've been in with, and by far the best man I've shared the ring with, as skill set wise, in bare knuckle, no doubt about it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. 'Cause that must be another great feeling, like to know that you've not just knocked somebody over for a title. Do you know what I mean? You've actually fought the best person you could have fought to win the belt.
Yeah. Well, that was the plan. That was the plan starting this last August. We had a stand in at Newcastle, and I've got a lot of time and respect for Darren Godfrey, but I've always wanted the best available opponents from the get-go. I don't want to take a fight because it's a fight that I think I can win quite easily. I need a challenge. I need a challenge. I need something to motivate me in the gym, and that still stands now. I want the best available opponents. I'm talking globally. I want to step up from Anthony Holmes even. I'll fight any of them. Anyone they put in front of us, but if they give me a name what doesn't satisfy us, I will have to say no. If they give me a run-of-the-mill, mediocre type fighter, no disrespect to them, because every fighter in the BKFC deserves their credit and their merit for what they do. But I'm looking for the best available opponents, big names, and I'll fight any of them. I'll fight any man that's out there at light heavyweight, or if people want to come to light heavyweight or whatever. I need a challenge. I need a big name, and I need the potential of me being knocked flat, for us to motivate us properly in the gym.
Yeah, so if everything goes to plan with the BKFC and obviously your new contract and everything, is Lorenzo Hunt on your hit list? He must be the person you want to fight next.
He is, and I'd love to fight Lorenzo Hunt. And I can't really make any announcements at the minute because I've had a little word with the promotion, and, there's no guarantees. And it's not just to do with me perhaps not getting in America. I've got to go to the embassy in about 5 weeks in Ireland, and see what my chances are of getting over there. But they're on about bringing somebody over here. Nice. But I think, I don't really want to say because I've been told not to. But that fight might not happen. The fight that I want might not happen. So if that is the case, I want the next best available opponent, who could be anyone. And all these big names that's coming into it now. I mentioned it a bit this morning, Mike Perry. I'd love a fight with Mike Perry.
That's what everyone's saying in the comments here. You and Mike Perry would make up for the perfect fight.
I'd love a fight with Mike Perry. Mike Perry, I must admit, from ever since Wembley when he beat MVP, I just absolutely idolised the man, because I thought MVP was going to wipe the floor with him. I really thought it was going to be too fast, too slick, too much movement, and he just stuck it on him. And even though it was a close fight, you know, it wasn't one that I thought he was going to win. And ever since then, I've kept an eye on him, and I think he's brilliant. And you know, I'd love a fight with Mike Perry because I know what type of fight that would be. It'd be the type of fight that I love. And because there was talk of them giving him Darren Till. I mean, I'm not a big Darren Till fan. You know, I'm not going to say what I actually think of him, but you know, if they want to give us somebody like Darren Till, I mean, what's the point of giving? I know Mike Perry wants big fights and big money fights, and he's entitled to them, and fair play to him. But you know, if they give him Darren Till, that'll be the third MMA star that's making the BKFC debut. You know, I mean, I know he was in there with Julian Lane, who's a brilliant fighter and as tough as they come. But I mean, I'm 3-0. Mike Perry's 3-0. And I know what I'm doing in there, you know, and I know how to conduct myself like a bare-knuckle fighter, and nobody's going to knock one of my tooth out and I'm going to decide that I've had enough. You know, I'll be in there till the end. And I think that'll be a fight for the fans. But I mean, I'm just little old me. You know, little old me from Carlisle, that's Mike Perry. You know, so the chances are of it happening is probably slim to none. But I'm saying now what I've said to everybody, I'll fight them all. I'll fight any of them, you know, but I want a big name.
Well, like I say, mate, you say that, Danny from Little Carlisle, but if there was for an American fighter to come to the UK to fight a UK fighter in the weight, there's no one bigger than you, mate. Even to be fair, even if you never had the belt.
Yeah, well, I suppose at light heavyweight now, you know, I'm recognised as the #1 light heavyweight, and I've got the title to prove it. So, you know, there's some brilliant light heavyweights out there. I mean, Mike Richmond, I'm a Mike Richmond fan as well, you know, and I know what he brings. You know, a fight like that, something like that, Mike Richmond, or with Lorenzo Hunt, or, you know, with any of these big names, these Rockholds, and I don't mean, you know, it wouldn't even be fair on that Luke Rockhold because I'd annihilate him. And I think the same for Darren Till, you know, but I think like me and Richmond or me and Hunt, you know, it'd be an amazing contest, or me and Mike Perry for that matter, you know, I'll have any of them.
Yeah, it'd be amazing, mate. And how much does your trainer / cornerman Wayne motivate you? And because I know you look up to him loads, so it must be like a sort of buzz having him in your corner with you.
Oh, listen, I've probably said it before, you know, I wasn't going to do this if Wayne wasn't going to help us. Everyone wants Wayne's time. Everybody wants Wayne to train them. But he's a busy man with work, and he's got a big project on with his farm and that. And, you know, he's a busy man. He's got a lot on. And he told us he would give us as much time as I needed, you know, and he makes time for us 3-4 times a week. I do my own training in between, but I couldn't do it without Wayne. You know, I wouldn't have, and because of the bond we've got, you know, I wouldn't swap him for, you know, for Sugar Hill. You know, I wouldn't swap him for anybody. You know, they may be brilliant in their own right, but they don't know me like Wayne knows us, and they won't be able to motivate us like Wayne can motivate us. Yeah. And like I've said, when I'm in there, I'm fighting as a team. You know, it's a team effort to get us there. I haven't got in that sort of shape and got into that sort of mentality on my own. You know, Wayne's a big part of it. So I want to prove to him that I can do what he knows I can do. When he tells me I can beat someone, when we were sitting down watching the Anthony Holmes fight, he says, you can knock him out. You know, I've no qualms about it, Danny. You can knock this man out. He's not the same fighter when you put pressure on him. And I fought that sort of pressure like I've never fought before. You know, I don't usually go forward that much. I like to have a little look and a little move around myself. But I listened to him and I believed in what he said, you know, and it was true.
Yeah, was there any other fights from the night when you've watched it back at BKFC 40 Leeds that you enjoyed?
Really enjoyed a few fights. The Lee Brown fight with that Polish kid was a good fight. I enjoyed the Luke Nevin and Franco. I thought that was a real contest. Luke Nevin impressed us, actually. I know he's decent, Luke Nevin, but, you know, Franco was a heavy favourite. But, you know, Luke didn't let him look like a heavy favourite in there. Luke kept busy and, you know, boxing, good body shots, good punch variation and punch range, you know, soft jabs, stiff jabs, and the whole arsenal of punches. And, of course, how could I forget Tom Scott, who I thought put on an absolute clinic against a rough, tough, durable opponent. And Tom warmed into it, you know, as the fight went on, he got more and more comfortable. You know, he was finding the target more and more cleanly. And I was over the moon for Tom to get back on winning ways.
Yeah, he's class, Tom, mate. All the lads done good. Them Polish lads, mate, they're tough as our boots, aren't they?
Yeah, They absolutely are, mate. They're as tough as they come, and they all showed that, in the performances. They don't go down too easy. Them Polish lot, they are here to fight, and they made the card that bit more exciting.
Yeah, they definitely did, mate. And obviously, you watched last night. I seen you were pissed off a bit with Luke Rockwold this morning. But what were your thoughts on the event as a whole and McGregor being there?
Oh, I thought it was a brilliant event. I thought it was a really good card right up until the main event. The Chad Mendes Alvarez fight, I thought was a brilliant fight to watch. Could have went either way. I did have Alvarez slightly ahead, but if they'd give it to Mendes, there'd have been no complaints. It was one of them type of fights. And I'd love to see Eddie Alvarez back. Big names like that, they're bringing eyes to the sport, they're bringing attention, and it can only be good for everybody else. I liked the Christie Faria fight. Was good while it lasted, I said, but it got stopped on cuts, which I'm not a doctor, but, I've seen fights go on with worse cuts than that, but it was what it was. I'd like to see them in a rematch. I thought Ben Rothwell had his hands full, and his opponent, from what I've seen, ran out of steam. There was no zip or no pop at all in his punches come the third round. But Ben Rothwell's a big physical man, and he imposed himself on him and just tired him out, pulling his head down in that tie clump and that, and he got the job done, and it was what it was. But yeah, the main event just left a bad taste in my mouth. Mike Perry's Mike Perry, he's going to be there till the end. And yeah. Luke Rockhold's got some skills. He has got some skills. He's got good everything really, apart from an ability to get to be the dog. When you listen to it, I mean, I silly old me even bought into it a bit on the run up to that fight. I believe in my length, I believe in my strengths, I believe in this, I believe in that. The only thing he believed in was a way out. That's all he wanted. That's the only thing he believed in that day, was a way out. And like I say, I hope he never darkens the doorstep of the BKFC again, because it was a bad display of heart. It was really poor. And anybody that, I mean, look, I don't want to take anything away from what he's done, because he's achieved more in MMA than most people, and he's a legend in MMA in his own right. But you're supposed to be a fighter. You come over to this promotion for a fight. The key's in the word. It's a fight. And if you're not going to keep fighting, you're not going to keep fighting and keep fighting, then mate, you've got no place in there. You really haven't. And that's the thing. I've been talking about this stuff lately. The more we as the paying public, and the more we as fight fans accept these quitters, because that's what they are, the more we accept them, the more of it you're going to see. You know what I mean? It's only going one way. People should be tearing him a new arsehole for doing that, but they're all clapping hands and saying, well done. Well, not me. I think it was terrible. And like I say, the more we accept these quitters, and the more we accept that as okay, because he got a wobbly tooth, it's not going to go one way. You know what I mean? It is what it is. I've said enough on it.
Yeah, but I felt a bit sorry, even though Petty got out of it unscathed and got a nice payday, and that he was fucking gutted, wasn't he?
He was, because he was there to fight. Even he never got the fight he expected. And I'm sure if you ask him, he'd have probably rather the fight went on and to roll dice in a fight, because that's the type of fighter he is. He loves being involved in them dog fights. For someone to just call time because they've had a good smack, just kind of knocks the clout out of the whole victory. Yeah,
it does, mate. But I won't keep you too long, mate. I know you haven't been to bed because you've been up watching the BKFC. But is there anything else you want to share with us, mate, before we wrap it up?
No, just a big thank you to you, Lou. I think your channel's brilliant, and I think what you do, and you spread the awareness of this sport, and you spread the awareness of the fighters' mindsets and fighters' names themselves, for that matter. I think it's a brilliant thing what you do, and it's always a pleasure being on here, Lou. So thank you.
I appreciate that, mate. But we'll stay in touch like always, mate, and we'll do some more work coming up.
Brilliant, mate. I'll speak to you soon.
No worries, mate. Good night, mate.
Bye-bye for now, Lou. Bye-bye, bro.
Bye, mate. Yes, people. Nice one for tuning in there. Much appreciated. The new BKFC UK light heavyweight champion, Danny, that bastard, Christie, Carlisle's finest. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please do that now. It'd be much appreciated. Got loads more work coming up, but I'm having a couple of days break because I go to Turkey in the morning with the wife and kids, and I can't wait. So good night, God bless everyone. I'm going to leave the chat open a bit so you can do a little bit of talking, but I am off for now. Good night, God bless.
He did the hard part. He got his